it's Sunday here, and we have the professor visiting town, and he contacted Serge to say, I want a coffee tour, and we said we're coming with you also because coffee's great, and Serge is great at knowing where to go. And so, yeah, that's what we're doing today. We're Serge's coffee tour of Victoria with the professor.
We should start by going to Hide and Seek in Oak Bay. They have an amazing selection of multi-roastery coffee, so you can try a couple things. And I want to head down to Hey Happy. They're the two places in town that have multi-roasteries, so we can try many coffees side by side and taste them all. And again, we've got our baseline from Fernwood, so I think we're good to go.
All right. It's fantastic. I love the whole island of Victoria. It's like a magical land that I've traveled to, where people are polite, relaxed, food is good, and most people walk places, which is fascinating to me. We don't just get in our car to go everywhere. Please do not make me go back to reality. Like it's the end of a fantasy novel where the children have to go back. I have to go back to America. Please, I just want to stay in Victoria forever. It's my Narnia.
The parsonage is a place we've talked about a bunch because it used to be very close to the moon base. But since then, we've moved and they've moved, both through similar sort of kind of unpleasant landlord chicanery. But the point is, they're still not quite so far that it's a pain to get to, and they're the best coffee place in town. So that's step one. Step two, to the other side of town. Now we're here in Oak Bay Village, which is my old stomping grounds and where the old people live. This is where I grew up, and it's also lovingly referred to colloquially as being behind the tweed curtain because there's a whole bunch of UK expatriates that live here, or at least did, and have certainly informed the development of the community, such as there's like an old pub and like a classic chocolatier and a British sweet shop and stuff like that. But we're here at Hide and Seek, which is a coffee shop that Kathleen and I discovered and told Serge about, and I'll never let him forget it. And he was mortified to have been missing out on it for so long because it's one of his favorites in town. And so now we're here to taste some coffees.
I have ordered 4 different single origin coffees. You can see them arriving right now. You put the coffee name right on it. This is the Ethiopian? Excellent, thank you very much. So we have a wonderful selection of South American and African coffees. I've got little tasting cups for everybody, and really, when drinking coffee, it can be intimidating to have to taste something. Like, do you taste blueberries? You're like, no, I can't. But if you have a couple of things side by side, it's a lot easier and less intimidating. Is this one fruitier than this one? Is this one sweeter than this one? And sort of work on that palate together and get rid of a lot of the pressure and expectation to have to taste things when we're just here to have fun. So one of the coffees we get to try today is an unbelievably exciting varietal known as the Geisha varietal. This is sort of like a unicorn in coffee right now, and it is an unexpected treat.
The Geisha is one of the coffees that Serge and I tried when we went on Serge and Graham's coffee adventure in Seattle.
Smell is very related with tasting, so definitely get your nose right in there, don't be shy. And since taste and smell are related, taste or smell with your mouth open. So smell with your mouth closed and then smell with your mouth open and see if there's a difference.
No?
It's very light. The reason people are excited about the Geisha is the complexity. And one of the fun things we'll get to do as well is as these coffees cool, they'll taste different.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to it. We'll have a little sip of the next coffee and we'll come back to it and see how it tastes next time.
I like it.
It's so light. Like cherries, plums, pecan.
Oh, I just meant that you said
I sound like I'm talking out my butt.
The name of our game today is Contrast. I'm pairing these all up so that every coffee is very, very different from the previous one. There'll be some similarities between it, but you should be really shocked at how much fruitier this first one is. I had very negative experiences in the coffee industry serving fruity coffee to people because they taste it with milk and be like, your milk is sour. It's such a foreign flavor to a person that they'd assume that something went wrong, as opposed to being, oh, I wonder if you did this deliberately.
Yeah, I don't like usually fruity coffees. Like I'm not a fan of this one. As not in terms of I think it's bad quality, but personal aesthetic.
Absolutely, yeah,
where I can tell this is quality coffee, but my personal taste and enjoyment is less towards fruit-forward coffees like this.
The first one I'm gonna have was so light and almost ethereal for a black coffee. I think what I got off it was pecan. It was way down at the bottom. It started this light sweetness and a little earthy, right? This one just tastes like ripe, juicy cherries.
So the 4 coffees we have today, we have an Ethiopian, we have a Colombian, a Rwandan, and a Panama Geisha. And this is a really exciting spread, and also happens to be everything that Hide and Seek has to offer today. So the Ethiopian will be really fruity, the Rwanda will be very wine-like, so different type of fruity. Colombians are typically a little bit citrusy and nutty, and the Panama's a geisha, which I'm just super, super stoked about. So great selection, great variety, and all very different from each other.
This is what I think of when I think coffee. This is because Colombian coffee, right? Most of us, the first coffee we have is bad Colombian coffee from the grocery store. Right, Juan Valdez.
Is tannin a proper term for?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
because
tannin.
I wanted to say this feels like very heavy, rich tannins in this one.
You know what this is? Sorry, this is a Merlot.
Yes.
And the first one we had, the Geisha, was a Pinot Noir.
Yes. Now you're speaking my language.
Acidic and tart and earthy. You'd be just agreeing with me though. I could be it tastes like blah blah blah. I could make up any word and be yes, Kathleen, yes.
Taste is subjective. There is no wrong answer in taste. If you're having fun, even if you hate it, that's your experience and that's totally valid. Final region today is the Rwanda coffee, and Rwanda is one of my favorite coffee growing regions, Rwanda and Kenya together. It should be another fruity coffee, but very different from the Ethiopian. This should be more wine-like. So more berry, very acidic, very, very, very pleasant. I love this region.
This is say darker fruit, more like a dark plum, dark cherry. Even I would say a little leathery cigar, not in a bad way, but a leathery cigar richness to it.
Round 1 complete. That was Hide and Seek. This place is amazing. I'm really happy we got to taste everything here. Next up, Hey Happy.
I'm super entertained that the owner of one place that we're at is wearing the t-shirt of the other place we're going to, which I think tells you a lot about the local Victoria coffee scene, or at least the good places within that. Side note, it's finally spring here, which is nice.
So we are looking at, this is kind of a chemix, kind of a pour over. It's an interesting different shape, but the idea of what we're doing here, like any good experiment, we're controlling our variables. So they've weighed their coffee, they've weighed their water. This is why they're on scales. They're being very careful in how they're portioning the amount of water they put in. So that's why they're using that very fancy pour kettle. And so we're getting 4 different coffees and they're preparing them all at the same time. And then we'll get to do a little tasting flight. And pretty excited. It's probably not going to grow fruit in where we are because it's too cold and not high enough elevation, but here we have our little friend, the coffee tree. You can tell it's got these beautiful leaves. Yeah, this is bad ideas. Very interesting. So I'm starting us off with a South American.
All right.
I selected coffee number 3. No, number 3, which is from Honduras. That is a 3. Their handwriting isn't great.
That's very nice.
So why are we doing what we're doing?
That's a question we all ask in
This-
just our lives.
Yeah. The premise we have to accept here is that every coffee is unique. A single origin coffee is a coffee from one farm in one country prepared in a way, and it's not a blend. There's not a bunch of farms coming together. Why do we go so far in weighing the water and weighing the coffee and doing this brew method? That is treat it like an experiment. We have to control as many variables as we can. So if we have the coffee the same, if we have the grind setting the same, we have the water the same, we taste 2 different coffees side by side and they taste different, then we can accept the premise that every coffee is unique. So following the same thing we did as last time, we're going to go from a very straightforward coffee to a very fruity coffee. I find this one very, very floral.
Yeah.
So not really fruit forward like I was expecting, but very flowery, which is great.
I didn't say floral. I said I felt like there was, but I mean, this is again, it's just the word our brain are ascribing to describe the same thing. But I said like toffee or dark candy, caramel, that sort of spectrum. But I think we're just using different words to describe the same thing, which is often the problem with tastings. Is that it's just like, what word is Brian going to think of for this? And I'm going to say toffee, and then Serge will say septembral, and
There are no wrong answers.
yes, septembral would come close.
One of my favorite things about flavor is its association. So you can sit there and you can sip this and be like, it reminds me of Grandma's house. Why does it remind me of Grandma's house? You're
Right.
like, oh, she used to make chocolate chip cookies. It's chocolate. I taste
Right.
chocolate.
Yes,
and
yes,
it's like,
yes.
ah.
Right.
And you just have this wonderful
Right.
discovery moment.
Yeah.
So no, there are no right or wrong
Well,
answers.
when we would go wine tasting, one of the things early on that they do to help you out with that is they would have a flavor wheel.
Yeah.
And it would, and I mean, I don't know how much I agree with like everybody conforming though in that way, because the discussion is part of that. And you're saying floral and I'm saying toffee, and we can sit and discuss. We're finding ways. Flavor is an intangible thing. I can't hold the concept of flavor in my hand, and we're trying to find a way to quantify that to one another and communicate that idea to one another. It's like trying to describe to each other what love is.
It's like a not sweet apricot.
Yeah.
Dried fruit.
So this is very strong on the palate. This is very, very heavy.
This is like tobacco.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would be this heavy if we hadn't just had that very light fruity coffee ahead of time.
Right.
You know, if you just came
Sure.
in and this is your first coffee of the day, you wouldn't even notice it was that heavy. Just
I
like, oh, it's
really
interesting.
like heavy coffees.
Yeah.
though. I like chewing on my morning cup of Joe. I like to chew it up.
It's almost got like, it's almost like nutty and like very dark chocolate.
Totally. And here we have our 9th coffee of the day. And I'm really excited about this. The last one is a Burundi. This is a region we haven't had yet. I really enjoy them again, very similar to Kenya and Rwanda. It should be fruity, it should be funky, and it should be completely different from everything else we've had today.
It certainly is.
Hey, look, bonus James. Then my phone died, but we had Indian buffet. What a great day.